I have a quick scene from Finding Nemo. You can recreate it as your current voice or try to do the Nemo voice.
Yeah, I can try. I could do both. I could like recreate it now and see what that would sound like. What if Nemo was an adult and it's just like, come on, Dad, like I don't want to go to school, you know?
Oh, hey, what's up? My name is Jay Steele, the biggest Pixar connoisseur on the WWW. Finding Nemo came out 17 years ago, and obviously it stood the test of time, spawning major theme park attractions, video games, and even a sequel, Finding Dory. So I thought it'd be cool to talk to the voice at the center of this franchise, Alexander Gould, aka the voice of Nemo himself from Finding Nemo, to see how his life has changed from the age of 9 when the film first came out, all the way up to today, now that he's 25. So, Alexander, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much.
So, is that right? You were 9 years old when the film came out?
Yeah, I started working on the film when I was 6 years old, so...
Wow.
Nemo knows he can do all this stuff, but his dad doesn't want him to. No, Dad! Just because you're scared of the ocean doesn't mean I am.
There was a big chunk of my like very early childhood that was really awesome to be a part of.
So being 6, even with the audition, did you even know like what Pixar was at the time? Did you understand how big this could be?
I definitely knew what Pixar was. The funny thing is that actually until I like showed up to start filming, I didn't really know what part I was in the movie. So we kind of got there and they were like, oh, like you're playing the voice of Nemo, and it was kind of a cool thing that was like, oh wow. Me being 9 years old, didn't even really have a concept of completely what was going on, but it was a really cool experience to be a part of and something that I look back on very fondly.
This is so big. It's so amazing. It's just to be in a Pixar film, and I love all the other ones, so it's just so cool.
Before the movie came out, what got you excited about that movie out at that age?
I mean, I read the script, I knew the story, I knew that it was like going to be a really good story. At that age, I think I was just excited to be in a Pixar film. I think I was right at the age where I was learning kind of what it meant to be like a voiceover actor in general. Like I'd been an actor since I was 2 years old and been in different things here and there, but I was really kind of just understanding the different parts of the industry at that time and understanding what it meant to work in any kind of different part of it. It was exciting that there was something friends of mine would have watched at the time.
Very big day. It's fun. Really fun.
And when you started recording, did you do that at Pixar? Did you have at Disney? Where did you?
Yeah, so we did it at Pixar. It's a really, really cool campus. The time I was 9 years old, I had the Heeley shoes, so I would ride them. I think there's a feature on the DVD of Finding Nemo with me like riding around Pixar on my Heelys and like asking different animators questions.
I want to know how you make the movie Finding Nemo come to life.
Sure, you're in the right place.
Outside of that, like filming that day, did you actually get to go around Pixar and see what the different departments do?
A little bit, yeah, here and there. I did a small little spot in Finding Dory a couple of years ago. Pixar definitely likes to keep a lot of things in the family. They wanted me to have some part in it. Obviously, my voice had changed too much to be Nemo anymore, but they wanted me to have some role in the film, and so they asked me to come and be a part of it, and I was super excited. I was the truck driver in the end scene of the movie. And so I got to go back up to Pixar and they showed me around. They were like, what do you want to see? I said, oh, I'll see where the animators do their work. By that time, I was 20 or 21 at that time. So I really knew what was going on. I'd been in college and I was like, oh, I can see the computers and the animation work. And that was super cool to see.
What was it like going back to Pixar now? What changed for you and what changed there?
It was kind of a surreal experience walking in because it was the same like general area. And I met with a few different people who were the producers on Dory. I met with Andrew Stanton, who was the director on Nemo and Dory, and people who I had talked to when I was like 9, and I got to like sit down and have a conversation. They all like had lunch with me, which was super nice, and it was cool. It was really neat to go around and see Pixar and the whole kind of behind the scenes of everything, and they just seem like they have such a good time up there.
How long, for when you were recording Nemo for the original movie, how long did it take? Like how many months, years? I don't even know what the time span would be, but how long did it take you to record it in its entirety?
So the recording was, I think, a time span of about 3 years, and I would only go in around once or twice a month, and do a couple 2 or 3 day session up at Pixar, or 1 or 2 days down in LA. But yeah, over a course of like 3 years, and I never really saw any of the animation during that time or anything. Maybe a sketch here and a sketch there.
And how did they prep you as an actor? Because if you didn't see any animation, or did you see drawings, like how did you know like what headspace to be in for certain scenes?
When you're doing voice acting, you don't even see like the script for the entire scene. You'll just see I just would see my lines that I was performing. So the director was really great. He would give me like a context and say like, okay, this is what's happening here. And then he would kind of act it with me because he knows what's going on. So the director is really trying to just get it out of me and say, okay, I'm saying this now. And how are you going to respond and do it? I think we would do every line 50 different times at least, just over and over repetition until it was like, okay, that's the one. It just kind of evolved organically, and every time was something different. By that point, I was already a pretty experienced actor, so I kind of had a good grip on what I was doing, and it's not that much different from screen acting. It's a similar process to just kind of find what the character wants in that line and find the motivation and get into it and do that process.
And with Andrew Stanton, he's one of my favorite directors, and now working with him twice, Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, what is his approach to it? Like, did you learn anything from him during your experiences?
Yeah, I learned that no matter how hard you work, you always have time to goof off.
Oh, that's great. Goof off? Who's goofing off? I want names.
I just remember him being like a super energetic guy, just has so much like charisma and was just so kind. And I always like really appreciated that. And I think that's something I definitely took away from working with him, which is just like in a directing capacity, in an artistic capacity in any way, just being like right there. And that was what I always felt with him. He was just like, hi, like even though I was a kid, he was like, hi, I'm right here with you. And like, I got you, you know?
Yeah, that's cool.
We would joke around and talk, and he just really knew how to be there with his actors and get the best performance out of them.
And when recording, not a lot of people know that you don't typically record with the other actors who are in the scenes with you. So what was it like at the premiere meeting, like Ellen DeGeneres?
I remember her being super awesome. I met a few of the other actors. Albert Brooks, who played Marlin, I actually ended up working with a few years later and actually got to know him on Weeds, on the show that I was on.
She does that sometimes. It's not necessarily bad.
Okay.
It sounds bad, Grandpa Lenny.
It's not.
So that was really cool to kind of reconnect with someone and who I'd never really gotten to know during that time, but in a different capacity. And Ellen was just awesome. I mean, she seems awesome all the time. I met her, I think twice. I think I like shook her hand at the premiere, and then she had me on her show around that time when Nemo came out. So, I mean, again, I was 9 years old. So looking back and remembering it it was a cool experience, but I don't think I was fully like aware of the whole cultural like background that Ellen DeGeneres was at the time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm sure you've gotten recognized from Weeds and other projects you've done on camera, but have you ever been recognized for being Nemo?
Yeah, a few times people have been like, you're the guy from Nemo, and I'm always like, how did they know that? Because I did for Weeds for years. I would get recognized and still do, and that makes sense because but the minute someone says Nemo, I'm like, where are they getting this information from, and how do they know? I mean, I assume they must know kind of both, and Nemo is just the thing that they like really like, are more interested in talking to me about. But yeah, it's happened a handful of times for Nemo.
And with Finding Dory, since you obviously outgrew the part with your voice, they had to get somebody else to voice match you and sound like what you did when you were 6. So
Yeah.
What did you think of Hayden Rollins' voice as Nemo in Finding Dory? Like, to me, when I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like Nemo, but it's your own voice. So what was it like hearing that?
It was wild. I was really impressed. He did a fantastic job.
It's very exciting. I used to love Finding Nemo as a kid. I used to watch it over and over again. And I just never thought that I would have gotten to do something as big as an animated movie, let alone by Disney.
That was really cool that they were able to find someone to like voice match that precisely. Around the same time as I did Nemo, I did Bambi too. So I was voice matching the character Bambi. And so I knew kind of what that process was like.
Feel the forest. Feel the forest.
Bambi.
Feel the... Felt it.
I met Hayden, who did the voice of Nemo. Like, he doesn't sound like that in real life. Like, he
really?
did a really good job of like changing his voice to like match the voice quality, which was like super impressive.
Come on, Dad. It's time for school. Yeah, Dad. You can get us all the way across the ocean.
It's definitely a difficult skill for someone especially that young. So it was just really cool, and it was neat that I got to meet him and spend a little time with him at the premiere. I remember him being he seemed a little overwhelmed at the premiere, which I'm sure I was at his age.
So were you like, oh, I know what you're going through right now?
A little bit. His mom kept asking me a bunch of questions about things because she was like, oh, you've been here, you know what's going on more than anybody. So she was asking me just different advice questions, and I tried to answer as best as I could.
Did you voice Nemo outside the movie too? Because I know there were like different theme park attractions. Did you do all that ancillary stuff as well?
Yeah, I did a bunch of toys. I think I did the Disneyland ride, but not the Disney World ride.
Oh, okay.
Because right when that was coming out, I was like 13, 14, and my voice was like cracking and getting deeper, and we got a call one day, or my mom got a call one day for me that was like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to have him do the Nemo voice anymore. And it was like, no, it's so devastating.
I mean, you don't need me anymore? You're gonna replace me with a computer?
No, that's not what he's saying at all. That's not what he means.
Which was, a bummer, but it had also been, I think, like 8 years at that point of doing Nemo voice. So it's time, By that point, I was working on Weeds and other projects, and was kind of glad to let that go in some ways. So yeah, I did do a bunch of other stuff for it though.
So you did the Submarine Voyage? Is that the one you did in Tomorrowland?
I think I did the Submarine Voyage ride, yeah.
What's it like going on that ride? Have you been on it since?
I have been on it. I mean, that ride is a little boring, to be honest.
Sure.
It's meant for the young ones.
Yeah,
it's definitely a ride for the little kids, and the line is, very long if you go to it. But I've been on that ride, I think, twice in my life, and it's cool. It's neat to hear it. It's the same as hearing my voice in a movie, and again, it's my younger kid's voice, so it's not the most surreal anymore, just because that's not what I sound like. I'm sure if I do another voiceover project at any point, that will be a more weird experience.
Do people ever ask you like, hey, do the Nemo voice, do it?
Yeah, it's happened all the time. My answer is always the same. I'm always like, I can't. Like, my voice just doesn't go that high anymore.
Well, if you're up for it, I was wondering if we could, I have just a quick scene from Finding Nemo. You can recreate it as your current voice or try to do the Nemo voice. If you're up for it, you want to do that?
Maybe I could do both. What if Nemo was an adult and it's just like, come on, Dad, like, I don't want to go to school, And just, I'm gonna try it as a kid's first.
Okay, cool.
Dad, maybe while I'm at school, I'll see a shark.
I highly doubt that.
Have you ever met a shark?
No, and I don't plan to.
How old are sea turtles?
Sea turtles? I don't know.
Sandy Plankton from next door, he said that sea turtles said that they live to be about 100 years old.
That's great. That's really good.
Oh my gosh, as we're doing it, I have this vivid memory of reading that line.
Really?
With the director. Yeah, that's so weird.
Sandy Plankton from next door, he said that sea turtles, they live to be about 100 years old.
Do you want to try it as adult Nemo? You want to do it?
Yeah, let's try it as adult Nemo. Let's see.
I'll be even more adult Marlin then too.
Okay, maybe Nemo's going to college now.
Sure.
Yeah. Dad, maybe while I'm at school, I'll see a shark.
I highly doubt that.
Have you ever met a shark?
Nope, and I don't plan to.
How old are sea turtles?
Sea turtles? I don't know.
Sandy Plankton from next door, he said sea turtles live to be about 100 years old.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like that totally could be Nemo. I could see it.
It totally could be. It sounds like Nemo's a little kind of like, he's got to get his stuff together a little bit if he's that old and asking about how old sea turtles are. It's like, Nemo, you're old.
Really.
You should know this by now.
What was the voice you put on for Finding Dory? Did they just have you do your normal voice for that, like you just did?
Yeah, it had me kind of do my normal voice. That was how I did Nemo, the original too. Was just at the time it was just my voice. I was acting, but I wasn't putting on anything, and that was something that was crazy. When I auditioned for it, Andrew Stanton said that they had auditioned over 1,000 kids.
Wow.
For the role, and they pick my voice out of all of those, and that was something that I was just always so humbled and grateful for that opportunity, and how insane it is that I was picked that one out of all of them. So it was really crazy.
Now, I know you're mainly known for on-camera acting, by face, but would you want to do more voice acting stuff? What do you like the most?
Yeah, I like both. Acting it's a really cool art form. I think animated work can tell such an incredible story, and I think a lot of animated work can tell stories even better than on-screen work can. So I would love to do more animated work, more voiceover. It's just a matter of seeing, where the cards fall, and there's so many variables at play. But I would love to create and be a part of voiceover work in the future. Yeah.
What have you been doing lately? What are you most passionate about right now?
Right now, I'm an actor still. So I went to college for a few years and discovered and explored so many different fields and learned so many different things. I studied philosophy and politics, and thought I might go into politics. Studied physics for a minute, thought I might go into physics, and I really just always kind of came back to this love I have for the craft of acting. And after my time at college, through different periods of kind of self-discovery, realized no, I really, really am passionate about acting and this craft. So yeah, that's where I am now, and I'm working on making some new projects happen, and things are looking good. So hopefully you'll be seeing me in something soon, and I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome, man. Well, where can fans find you now online? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, anyone can find me on Instagram. I'd love for you to follow me. My Instagram is @AlexanderGouldReal. I would love to connect with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Alexander. This was great.
Cool.
Thanks so much for your time.
Chase.
Yeah.
This was awesome. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Hey there, you.
Huh.